Ladies and gentlemen!
Very bad feeling about this.
You want answers? I think I'm entitled. You want answers? I want the truth!
Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass.
Shut up! Just shut up, you idiot! This is no time to panic. This is the perfect time to panic.
I'm gonna make him an offer, Jack.
Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn.
Welcome on in for this introductory episode of MDC, where I'm going to bring two people on to give some movie debate fights, maybe some TV debate fights, and to see who wins. Kind of fun, friendly competition. It'll be up to 5 rounds, 4 pre-planned, prepared topics, and 1 tiebreaker that would be a quick, rapid round at the end if it gets there. Luckily here I have 2 good friends of mine who opted to be the test dummies for this show to start out with. I'll start up with Paul here since he's in the top left. Go ahead, Paul. Introduce yourself and tell us what type of movies you like to watch.
Hello, my name is Paul. I am Khan's good friend from League of Legends. And I would say my movie realm is probably comic books. A lot of those I like. I'll really watch mostly anything but horror films. I just cannot do secondhand pain stuff in movies. So I try to stick to, the more happy stuff. And I really love crime thrillers, but not ones that it's just grotesque violence, like just a good crime thriller. Like True Detectives is great. I guess that's not a movie, but
that's a TV show. We do all that stuff on my channel now too. So his opponent today, another friend from League of Legends, is the Healy Master over here on the top right. Go ahead, Healy. Tell us what you like to watch and type of movies and shows you like to watch.
I am Healy, or Nick. I am also Khan's good friend from League. Paul kind of stole my intro there, I guess. Really anything like historical, sports related, documentary, comic book movies, superhero movies as well, and kind of like thrillers, not really horrors like Paul said, but what's that movie where it's the chick who keeps spending the same day over and over? Happy Death Day?
I think so, yeah. Happy Death Day.
Yeah. Like stuff like that really interests me.
Nice. So you're saying, unlike Paul, you're not a baby.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. So I get those points.
All right. Well, the only points up for a grab here today are going to be ones from our 5 debate rounds. How it's going to work is each of you guys have prepared 4 different answers to 4 different topics. You'll each get about a minute of introductory of what your answer was for these topics, where you kind of go over why you think your answer is right. And then after you both get that 1 minute of kind of promoting your stuff, we'll then go into about a 4 or 5 minute type crossfire where you guys can go at each other's picks, take them down, talk yours up. If I have to jump in there to settle some down conversation, I will, but I'll kind of let it go. And maybe if I'll ask some questions in the middle of there, then you'll each get like a 30-second closing statement. And I will then give a point out on who I think not only gave what I think is the correct answer, but debated their answer or proved their answer the best. Because everything's subjective with film and stuff like that. So it's not about what is the absolute best. It's how you promote yours and make the other person's not feel as the best. But start out here to figure out who's going to speak first. We flipped a coin. Nick over here, Healy, won the coin toss. So he'll get to choose if he wants to speak first or he wants to have the closing statement, the final word. So go ahead, Healy. What do you want to do? Do you want to be the opening statement or the final word?
I think I'll have the final word. And I just like that it's an opinion until you say so. That was a really good part.
No, I'm going to try to be perfectly fair and neutral. I mean, obviously, if you guys say things that aren't going to be true to the movies, but we're going to talk about I know you both kind of like sports and sports stuff. Our first premier topic for the show, and one that I thought of when I asked you both to come on, is what is the best sports movie of all time? Now, with Healy getting last word, that means, Paul, you get the opening statement. Go ahead and tell us what you picked for the best sports movie of all time.
All right, so I picked Rush. It's basically just an F1 racing like drama movie. I picked it because I think it does a good job of telling somewhat, based on a true story like most sports movies are. It does a really good job of that with good actors. It has Chris Hemsworth in it playing a really big role, and he does a good job of starting out more playboy like comedy-ish and kind of just upbeat and fun-filled. And then when it gets to the serious like racing scenes where they really gotta lock in, I think it does a really good job of turning into this like drama, sports, high intensity. You actually start to feel kind of torn between the two drivers because there's also another one who ends up like dominating one, gets in a
Okay.
big wreck, gets destroyed.
I'm going to jump in here because your first minute is up, and
My
then we're
bad.
going to move. It's okay. You'll be able to talk more here in a second, so be ready
Okay.
to jump in. Once Healy here does his minute for his favorite sports movie of all time choice or best sports movie of all time choice.
Yeah. I mean, anyone watching this video, as soon as they heard Paul speak and they did not hear "Remember the Titans" come out of his mouth, it was case closed immediately. Like when you think of sports movies, that is at least top 3 on your list. I've never even heard of Rush, and it's not just because it's like really accurate of how fervent the Deep South is about youth football. It's so much more about racial inequality, overcoming the differences between those two groups, and how they functioned together. It also has Denzel Washington, so Chris Hemsworth.
Is that the end of your opening statement there? You got about
Yeah.
15 seconds. Okay.
I mean, it's also a football movie, most well-known American sport. Just saying. Who watches racing?
Well, I will lead us in here and ask a question. You can guys start debating as does a movie being well known equal to its quality? Go ahead and with this 5 minute section and debate what you think, why your pick is right and theirs is wrong. So go ahead and we'll let Paul go start here.
Okay. I would say, yeah, well known isn't really the biggest part for me when I was picking mine. I know Rush isn't like the most famous. I was more just picking it because I think the way it tells the story is a lot better than other sports movies, and it actually does like most of the things you want a movie to do. Like it buys you into characters, it convinces you that you have this relationship with them almost, and you start to feel for them and you feel bad and you feel good when they're winning and how everything goes. But yeah.
I mean, I don't think a movie just being well known is really indicative of it being a good movie either, but it is usually a good indicator that it's at least a pretty alright movie. And as far as Rush is concerned and what he said in his opening statement, it's actually kind of inaccurate when you go back and watch it. Like despite being based on real events, certain aspects are just upped for dramatic suspense for really no reason at all.
I would say it's more to buy you into the characters. Like, did James Hunt really go in and beat a reporter? Probably not. But it does at least convince you that like he has this close relationship with him, brings you into that rivalry and lets you know they may be competing on the track, but they're not actually like villains who hate each other in real life. They understand that each other's pushing F1, making it more money and making it more popular, and they're good for the sport, and they push each other even to be better athletes, which I think is what they care about the most. I think that helps it a lot with just drama and all of that, and it kind of puts it above, I would say, Remember the Titans for the fact that it's more focused down in just that battle of two actors. I know Remember the Titans has a lot of stuff going on in it with like, racial tensions in the South and then football games and then competitiveness and all of that. And this one I think kind of leading you into this relationship between these two guys and how intense it is kind of nice.
I mean, if you want to talk about two different sides opposing each other and eventually pushing each other to become better and recognizing that they're equals and so much more, literally the plot of Remember the Titans is that the main part of it is that the two sides are forced into almost a summer boot camp because the team had been so white predominant the whole time, and suddenly there's a black head coach, there's a ton of black players, and they have to just mesh immediately. And it's not pretty at first, of course it's not, but then they all realize that it's more so about the love of the game and about becoming better people and just wanting to do right by each other because they, like they said, that's your brother. You're dying on the field for your brother. Like,
So what's something that you feel your movie has that the other movie does not have? So I'll let Healy start here, then I'll go to Paul right afterwards.
I watch some of Rush, not all of it, but the big thing that Remember the Titans has is those like awe-inspiring speeches by Denzel Washington, by the guy who played the white coach. I can't think of his name right now. You can probably rattle off a line or two of those. I can't remember a word Chris Hemsworth said.
Dang. In Rush at all. Not even the Nicky Lauda speeches. I feel like they were both doing a really good job of building those, but I would say what Rush has is that F1 from an outside view, right? Probably not the most interesting sport for an American because we're not that big into racing here anymore. That's kind of died down. But in a movie sense, racing does a great job of just bringing a viewer in. And when you can dramatize the effects of racing and some of those turns and the tightness of it, I think you can really build it up for a film and kind of knock out of the park the drama side and just the intensity of that
Okay.
sport because you're taking the highlights of racing and the highlights of racing are kind of the like takes out all of those extra laps where you get brain fatigue, you might get a little bored of racing. It just does the most intense best parts, and for me that was just awesome, like seeing a sport I don't really watch that much just being done in a really cool theatrical way.
You know
Do you want
what's
to?
not hard to get brain fatigue on? Good old American football. You want to
Yeah.
talk about being able to put yourself immediately into the shoes of the
Yeah.
actors and the athletes? There's nothing like
Yeah.
football. And you can't even argue me on that, Paul.
I mean, I love football. It's my
Well,
number one
Paul,
sport.
go ahead here and give yourself like a quick 30-second type closing statement here on why Rush is the best all time sports movie.
All right, I think Rush is the best all-time sports movie. One, because I haven't seen 42, but two, because
That's a good one,
uh,
too.
because it's just a very high-paced, high adrenaline-ridden movie, and some of the stuff about it that really just sucks you in. You just can't drop, and you can't just stop watching the movie because the ending is so important to you.
All right. Closing statement, Healy. Final word. Go ahead.
I just think Remember the Titans is such a phenomenal movie. I wouldn't even like say that any one sports movie is probably the best, but the reason why Remember the Titans is my favorite is that it's not just a sports movie. It's a movie about teaching us what really matters and what really needs to happen in someone's life, about making sure that you grow up correctly, about having good, strong moral values and sticking to like your own sense of right and wrong as a person.
All right. So I'm looking at the round here at the end, and here are the few things that stood out for me. I think Paul, you did a very good job highlighting kind of the dramatic action elements of the F1 and Rush and being able to deliver that. I think you really hit home hard that it had high quality acting in it and everything. I do think Healy knocked Rush down a bit with a couple pegs, like with lines like, "What did Chris Hemsworth really say in that movie per se?" And I can't lie, I was kind of thinking, somebody who watched a good amount of that recently, and being like, he was a good character, but I can't really remember a standout moment. But he did hit back with the other big character of Rush. And it's like, okay, I do remember lines from him. He's definitely, I feel like, the more memorable, flashy character. Healy, I think you did a good job with Remember the Titans. Your probably best point was talking about the speeches with Denzel Washington and the other coach that took place. One area I was waiting for you to bring up more is kind of a maybe the difference maker would have been maybe the comedy element and maybe it being more funny in an element. Um, but Healy also, I mean, Paul never really damaged you on that per se anything either. Like I guess nor should he have to pick it up, but he, maybe if he comes in here, like you'd even mention like the most obvious thing of what's different about that movie. But I do think you did really nail the hammer home when you talked about the memorable stuff. And when you think of all-time great movies, there's always great quotes and great moments that you remember. So I'm gonna have to give Healy the first point of the match here. He is up 1-0.
Think you have what it takes to be an MDC champion? Prove yourself on the battlefield and know movies and TVs better than other people? Well, join the MDC Discord down below, and that's where I'm going to be picking the next competitors for MDC moving forward. So if you like this, go ahead and join the Discord, and I'll see you there in the battlefield.
We're gonna jump to another topic here, where Paul, you'll get to decide if you want to be the opening statement or the final word individual. But we're gonna do who is the most heroic Star Wars character. So, do you want to go first, or you want to go have the final word here, Paul?
I'll go final word.
You're gonna go final. Maybe a meta is developing. So, Healy, go ahead and tell us with the first minute here who you think the most heroic Star Wars character is.
So, to me, I know there's a lot of great choices, but R2D2 has to take the cake. He not only helps Anakin along his journeys built by Anakin and make sure that he can stay alive. And I guess you could say that, oh, well, he's helping Darth Vader the whole time, but that's not who Anakin Skywalker was. R2D2 constantly puts himself at risk with little to no defense, time in, time out, to make sure that the heroic party even gets a chance to be heroic. None of the movies happen without R2D2.
All right. Well, I will then give the floor to Paul here. Who is your most heroic Star Wars character?
Well, I think the most obvious choice you could pick is Luke Skywalker. I mean, he's the guy who literally, stops all the bad things that R2D2 kind of helps create, and does like a great job of, destroying the Death Star, you know, killing the Emperor with the help of his father, pushing the galaxy when Obi-Wan Kenobi chokes it so hard and saves it, and then also ends up coming back and training the one person who can save it for a second time. So there is that too.
Well, since you took a shot there at R2D2 in his opening statement, I'm gonna give you a leading question here, Healy.
Mm-hmm.
Is there anything in Luke's story or anything that you can point to as maybe not the most heroic thing?
Oh yeah, for sure. But before that, I guess the art school director of a certain famous Austrian artist is just like the most evil person of all time, right? With your comparison about R2D2, that would make him even worse, right? But aside from that, aside from Luke like kissing his sister as well, we're gonna talk about how he constantly puts his friends in danger, and he always seems to be the one who's safe. On Jabba's ship, yes, he's in the middle of everything, but everyone else is in so much danger because they have to be constantly tricking people to infiltrate this. Han Solo gets bathed in carbonite. By comparison, I know he gets his arm cut off, but like, not much happens to Luke that's a negative. So it's not hard to be heroic when you're never getting punished.
I think Luke, though, he comes back from training with Yoda early when he knows he's not ready, and Yoda tells him he's not ready. Then goes and fights Darth Vader and loses his hand and almost falls off of the city and dies.
So he comes unprepared, unready, puts his friends at
Oh
risk.
yeah,
So
okay.
heroic.
Yeah, what does R2D2 do? He helps basically groom the greatest villain in all of
And
movies.
then your candidate as well stop him?
Yeah, my candidate is the one who stops him. It's
So
literally
how do you ever get to the Dagobah system without R2D2? How do you ever get out of the Dagobah system without R2D2?
Yeah. Alright, well, Anakin never gets there either without R2D2. But
Anakin is an ace pilot who would have been just fine.
yeah, so's his kid. But I think
He has to cheat.
Luke does a great job in from a heroic standpoint. If you're looking at a human being who has more, you would say, to lay on the line of risk. Like, he can't be rebuilt like a robot. He can't have his memory saved. He literally is just going out here putting his life on the line all the time. I mean, yes, does he come in unprepared? Yes, he does. But going back to your World War II point, America came in unprepared on D-Day, and look what we did to them. We went crazy.
Unprepared, you mean the most like planned strategic operation in like American history?
Yeah, until we dropped the airborne in the wrong place.
All right.
That's not Norman. That's not the
But my
Normandy
bad, my
soldiers'
bad.
fault.
Yeah, we can take off that.
So
But
so
Luke,
so getting back on subject a little bit, besides R2D2's like connection with Anakin Skywalker,
Yeah.
what is there anything unheroic or just basic that he does that doesn't make him like a hero that some people may claim?
I mean, no, I want to argue R2D2 isn't a hero. Like, I would say they're both heroes. It's just that R2D2 is more the supplemental hero in the films, and I would say that Luke is like the actual main, most heroic guy, like going in, doing all the big things, fighting the baddest people, trying to outsmart them. A lot of weight is put on a random guy's shoulders for how quickly he has to kind of build up to this moment and then fight some of the most powerful people in the galaxy that Yoda and Obi-Wan aren't even willing to. But I'll let you talk.
Outsmart them by giving yourself up not once but twice, right? He surrendered twice, and the second time he almost gave over to the dark side, then got his father killed because he couldn't hack it against the Chancellor. Just everywhere Luke goes, he constantly needs help. R2D2 didn't need any help opening any of those elevators, crossing any of those bridges, shooting. By the way, Jabba's ship, he shoots the lightsaber to Luke, saving him.
R2D2 can't even get there without Luke.
That's why it makes it so much more dangerous for him. He has nothing to defend himself, and yet he puts himself in harm's way over and over and over.
Yeah, but you gotta
He
actually
still
do
clutches
something
up.
to be the most heroic.
He zaps that one guy that one time.
Yeah, okay, that one guy you can't name, that one time you can't
It was
name.
on Jabba's ship. He's a nameless character.
Oh my god.
All right.
He
Well,
leads
Healy,
Yeah, okay.
I'm gonna you go ahead. 30-second closing statement here.
R2D2 basically controls both of the set of like Destiny's heroes of the original Anakin Skywalker, making sure he's where he needs to be, and Luke Skywalker, basically piloting him around the entire galaxy. Luke Skywalker is a no-name pilot from the Dagobah system who does nothing with his life without the goat poach of all time.
All right. Well, you get the last word here, Paul.
All right. I'll say I think Luke quite possibly could have one of the largest rises of all time that a hero could have. To then rise up, get trained up, do all the dirty work of all the Jedi Knights before him who fumbled the bag, get the job done, save the galaxy, accidentally kiss his sister in the process, and then later on save another chick who we think could be his long lost daughter. We don't know, and get her to be up to snuff to do the same thing all over again. That's kind of cracked to me.
All right.
You came into a perfect system that was designed to win chips.
Oh yeah, so Tom Brady's not the GOAT because the
All right.
good.
All right. All right. You both have pleaded amazing cases here. Amazing cases here. I'll be honest. When I made this question before I go into things, my go-to answer would have been R2D2. So maybe this also would hurt Healy here because I, in my own head, am thinking of what points can I debate with this per se, and there's a few things that I think Healy missed in this fight against Luke. I gave him a pretty leading question here of was there anything Luke did that was unheroic? Kind of leading him into the I almost killed my nephew and turned him to the dark side and then went and hid for like 20 years.
I didn't even think of the like third trilogy, honestly. Those
So-
are wiped from my mind.
So huge points missed in debating world for Healy for me trying to give him such a toss-up answer and a poignant answer
Also,
with
thank
that.
you. I was hoping you wouldn't talk about it, and you didn't.
Those movies don't count.
But you did bring up
Zero of those
some of the
movies.
points for R2D2. I do think that the idea of R2D2 being like an enabler of Anakin isn't great, but I mean, it wasn't a great point because it's like to him, Anakin was a good person. He didn't know he was going to turn bad, so he was doing heroic stuff. So the little points off there for you, Paul. But you really hammered down. Like Luke kind of came out of nowhere and was given all this responsibility, and not did it once, but did it twice. And even though Healy was saying like his friends were always in danger, none of them ever really died besides Obi-Wan, who kind of, let's be honest, all died. You know, for like it was basically a suicide by him. Everybody kind of survived, partly because there. So I can't believe I'm saying this, but Paul gets this point. You did not tear down Luke Skywalker
What
you
is this makeup call bullshit?
It's not makeup
bro.
call.
Literally, I said Luke
Oh,
had
I'm
the weight
sorry,
of a
I didn't mention
universe.
from a movie that he's not. Fate of the universe on the line. Death Star pointed at Naboo. Give me Chewbacca.
I mean, Luke didn't even use R2 to kill the Death Star, so I guess
Yeah, he had to cheat.
Yeah, use the Force, bro. The Force ain't cheating.
But I mean,
strong.
you just didn't tear Luke down enough, and I felt like Paul did a really good job just making R2 kind of feel like a regular droid. You didn't mention that like R2 saved C-3PO when nobody was caring about. Like you could have brought up so many amazingly heroic deeds of R2 where this wouldn't have been a question, but you kind of didn't.
He's just a little guy, though.
All right, so score is now 1-1. As much as that wanted to be a makeup call, when I saw that going in, I was thinking there is no way Paul's going to win that round because Luke Skywalker is one of the like least heroic people in the Star Wars universe.
Bad taste in my mouth.
When you think about he like ran away, almost killed his nephew, put him to the dark side.
A year from now, we're gonna look back at this. This is gonna be one of the great. This is gonna
You're
be
to blame.
The holding call in the Super Bowl. Ugh.
You're to blame here, Healy. You didn't bring up any of the negatives that were really good. Your negative was like he saved his friends.
My negative is that he put his friends into unneeded danger constantly and gave himself up twice. What kind of hero does that?
Oh yeah, because Han Solo doesn't put himself in danger.
At the behest of his friends.
They didn't go to the cloud system for Luke Skywalker.
That's not what I'm saying. He went into the carbonite for Leia so that they didn't have to.
Either way, you did not bring it down good enough. You choked. You were an Indiana Pacer there in the final minute. And we're gonna move on to our third topic here.
Okay.
We'll see if the comments agree with that last one. If there's going to be any comments, but so since you lost that last round, now you get a choice of either being the opening statement or the final word, Healy. But the question and topic here is: what comic book character would be the worst to be stuck on a long road trip with? And I'm going to let you start this one because you put an interesting answer down, or you get to choose. You choose.
Yeah. I think I'll take first crack at it as well.
Okay, he's leaving the meta right now. He's going first. So
yeah.
Go ahead and explain to us how Tony Stark, multi-billionaire, would be a horrible person to go on a road trip with.
Okay, I want to put this into frame. This is like Iron Man 1 Tony Stark. This isn't Marvel Endgame Tony Stark. This is how he is always depicted in the comic.
That's fair.
Get movie Stark out of your mind. He is a narcissistic asshole. He will pick apart everything you do. He's like, all right, you're not driving anymore. And then 5 minutes down the road, he'll be like, I don't want to drive. I'm too rich to do that. You do that. And then he'll prattle on for about an hour about how the symmetry in the cosmos of the axis and just tell you you're stupid the whole time. and it just will never be a fun experience, and nothing you can ever do will make it a fun experience.
All right, all right. Well, you go ahead now, Paul, and tell us your choice for worst comic book character to be on a road trip with.
Alright, I chose the Joker. Really, you could pick like any version of the Joker, and I think it would suck. But the reasons I think the Joker would be annoying, one, like he's constantly trying to, do things to sabotage the trip. So he's the kind of guy, that's moving the shifter to reverse, putting it in neutral all the time while you're driving just to bother you a little bit. Probably honestly putting a nail in the tire just to get you guys stuck on the side of the road to see if you'll get hit by a semi truck when you get out of the car. Like he's doing everything in his power just to make jokes, see how you could die, and push you to the edge. If he's driving and you're on a bridge, you should probably switch seats with him or see if you can drive over the bridge first, because he will risk it for the biscuit.
Go ahead and start fighting this one up because I feel like you guys are ready to go at each other's throats.
So the first thing about the Joker is that he is psychotic for sure, but he rarely, on his way to his objectives, puts himself in danger. You never see him in the escape car putting a nail in the tire. You never see him in the escape car throwing the reverse or anything like that. That's not the Joker's shtick because that's too small game. Pissing you off specifically is too small game for Joker that he's not even going to want to do it. And even if he does, you can play into the craziness and kind of get on his side with it and at least make it a little fun for the time.
I think the problem would be though if you played with him on it and you got on his side, or he does decide that this road trip is the one where he tries to make it, the worst day of all time, like you're completely screwed. He's one of the most genius, like diabolical planners in any comic book you can get. Like all the dude does is make up the worst ways that you could possibly play a practical joke on somebody, and some of them can be deadly. I mean, I assume in this, like, it would be a punishment if you had to get through the road trip and you were given immortality, because he'd probably find a way to make you feel pain the whole road.
See, but you can kind of use that to your advantage, and if you get him thinking about one of those plans that you said he loves making, he could just get hyper focused on that the whole time and just leave you alone out of it. Tony Stark, however, is never going to leave you alone. He's never going to stop talking. He's never going to do anything that remotely will positively impact the trip. But we have seen the Joker have kind of this willingness to, like you said, do it for the bit, and because he finds it funny, he could end up making it a good time.
I think if you talked with Tony though, the same way you try to metagame Joker, like if you just look at Tony and be like, "Oh yeah, you are this rich cool dude. Can I take a selfie?" He eventually will realize, "Oh, you think he's really cool." He might chill, because in the truck with in Iron Man 1, he's literally sitting there with the guys, and the one who tries to take a picture with him, he's like, "See, they know me." But the people who act nervous are the ones that he messes with because he thinks he's that much better than them. If you're willing to just chill with him, and also assuming you don't get him absolutely hammered drunk on this drive, and you don't get him to just pass out, which you could easily try to convince him to take pills or drink, and he would knock himself out easily. He's a
So,
rich schmuck.
so let's say between these two, you guys can debate who would be the one that would be targeted the most by outside individuals. Like who would you like if you're on this road trip? Which of these two partners do you think would you be in most in danger of somebody coming after them?
I think if we put this anywhere in the world, it would for sure be Tony Stark. Because the Joker really only has the one antagonist in Batman, and I guess the Bat family if you want it. Tony Stark has managed to piss off the cosmos themselves.
I think the worst thing that could happen to you on a road trip would be Batman deciding that's the easiest place for him to grab the Joker and put him in Arkham. What might happen to you for Batman to try to put him in Arkham could ruin your life forever.
The Batman never acts unless he has actionable information on the Joker. If the Joker's just sitting there having a cool ass car ride, he's just going down the I-5s, like, Batman's out in Gotham. I'm in California. You think Batman's abandoning Gotham to come down to Route 66 to come nab the Joker who's just going on a little drive?
When he figures out that the Joker's trying to do something to mess with you that could cause a massive crash and kill tons of people, I think Batman would.
Listen, if we're in my car in my Prius, good luck to the Joker trying to cause a mass fatality event with that.
I mean, I genuinely think if you tried to go toe to toe with the Joker, and play into his psychoticness, he's way too smart and he'll know what you're trying to do, and he'll just feel more of a need to prove to you that he is better than you and he is more insane. I mean, the things he did to even his closest person, Harley Quinn, were insane. Like, I wouldn't want any of that done to me.
Yeah,
What
but in
he
this
thinks is funny
situation,
is insane.
you would just be a henchman. And yeah, he messes with his henchmen sometimes and he abandons them, but he still needs them and he understands that he needs them. So he will understand that he does need you for this excursion. And at the end of the day, he's just a guy. Like, if you really wanted to, you can kind of pop him. You're not going to be able to pop Tony Stark and, like, knock him out because he's just going to bust out the suit and rip your head off.
We'll let you start here with the closing statements, Paul. Oh, no, Healy. Healy spoke first. So, Healy, you're going to start with your closing statement.
I think I've kind of said everything I wanted to say. I just want to touch on one little misconception, Paul, where you said Tony Stark was a friend to the guys in the truck. He didn't do that because he respected that the guys in the truck were cool with them. He did that to piss off the drill sergeant that was also in the truck that was telling everyone to stop doing it. So that's not why he was doing that at all.
All right, you go ahead now, Nick.
All right, I feel like more than anything, one, you can pop Tony Stark in the head, like the same you can do Joker's. His suit in Iron Man 1 was not popping on that quick. But two, he doesn't have the nanobots. And then the Joker is like literally such a smart person and an individual for a villain, and the things he does that could be long con or short con on a road trip to try to mess with you is just not worth the time. Like, he could destroy you forever, henchman or not.
All right. This was an exciting round. I think you both made some excellent points. Both of you guys are having a more narcissistic a-hole character that's going to have you be in there per se, and you both gave pluses and minuses per se. I think Healy did a great job shutting down the idea that yes, Tony Stark is a billionaire, but he's not going to be a billionaire that's going to help you out. Or even if that was an argument, you didn't bring it up at all, Paul. You didn't say like he could just throw money at it and buy a bunch of alcohol that could make your time good, or like you didn't give.
Nothing says road trip like a DUI.
I do think though you did bring up good points on though with him being kind of engagingly friendly in the car per se in some ways. I think you brought up some good points, Healy, which is that the Joker really only is going to be a threat to the outside world if Batman gets his tail. And I do think one point you missed with that is like if the outside world is coming after Tony, they're going to try and kill Tony. Batman's not going to try to kill anybody in that car. The worst you're going to say is Batman's going to make sure you're safe if he comes after the Joker. But you didn't say that, so you don't get points for that. But I just do think that you really nailed down the whole point of Tony Stark being the narcissist asshole and everybody in the world and the cosmos coming after him. And I just think that you did a good job of poking down the Joker, and Paul didn't have too much of a defense for why the Joker isn't as bad as Tony Stark. When you were like, well, he wouldn't harm his henchmen, he might tease you a bit, but you can befriend the Joker and you can get away with it for at least a little while. Where
I literally said Harley Quinn.
No, she has her own.
We're not on Harley Quinn's level.
Yeah.
We're not on Harley Quinn's level.
Also, like
he does that to his henchmen all the time.
It's, but either way,
you can't just say
he did. Harley Quinn's still alive, and she's still everybody's favorite
Harley
female.
Quinn's a completely normal person.
He gets rehabilitated later in a lot of series as a really prevalent plot point. So how bad did the Joker really mess her up?
But because you didn't adequately take down Tony and talk about the
Just
more
give him the
positive
Make-A-Wish
elements of
point and move
Tony,
on, bro.
I'm gonna give Healy
Point.
here his second point. So he's
Oh.
officially on match point.
The
Um,
Make-A-Wish point?
No, Tony Stark would not be worse than the Joker in a car.
Well, you didn't argue it well enough. You didn't bring up any of the positive elements of Tony besides he was nice in the one time he
I
got
literally
shot
said
down.
He's super rich and he'll probably get hammered in the car and pass out. He'll be an easy passenger. And then you said, "Oh, you didn't bring up he'll buy alcohol," which I was like, "I did. I literally did."
Decisions already made. There's no review. There's no review.
I don't remember it,
Watch
so you
the
didn't argue it.
Make-A-Wish
You
point.
didn't keep bringing it up as a topic like Healy kept bringing up the Joker. It's
Oh,
nice to.
okay.
This is the
Dibs. Sideline.
you just gotta fight hard for this last one, which the topic's gonna be is what's a movie that should never have been remade but was? Do you want to be the first speaker or the last word, Paul?
I'll go last word, I guess.
All right, we're going opening it back up to you, Healy. What is a movie that should never have been remade but was?
So we're gonna talk about probably the worst remake of like an original idea that I've seen, which was the Thing remake. And it just kind of misses on all fronts. They got rid of the practical effects that made the first one so endearing and so well loved. They diminished a lot of the characters to just death fodder, essentially. It was really just about the title of The Thing and bringing it back into relevancy so that they can market it elsewhere than it was about being a good movie.
Okay, well, The Thing, definitely a good, strong choice. What about you, Paul? What is your choice for a movie that should never have been remade but was?
I did White Men Can't Jump because the first one is this, kind of endearing, like comedy style basketball movie about a white dude and a black dude becoming really good together as a 2v2 pair at basketball after having a tough beginning. And then you go over to its counterpart, which is this new one that was like a Hulu exclusive, right? And it missed everything. All of the charisma, charm, any word you want to throw out there that would be a positive about a movie, this movie completely whiffs on, and it just becomes this like, modern day kind of race baity like film that never really gets to the same story level telling as first.
Okay, well, these are two excellent choices. Who wants to jump in and start tearing down the other one?
I guess I'll take the first crack and kind of just point at the main difference between the two is that as kind of I agree bad as the remake was, it kind of did have a really good cast. Jack Harlow is actually really funny in it and plays the like bumbling buffoon white guy who's like really kind of a supervillain really well. The most famous person I can think of from the Thing remake was Joel Edgerton. It just means that no one wanted to star in this thing because everyone knew it was radioactive.
I mean, personally, I don't find like taking a hip hop star as your main actor going into a movie is a good sign for a movie. And then him being the best actor that comes out of it, the most memorable one that you just named, like kind of just cements the point. That is what this movie is. It was made with a hip hop star being the main character, and it performed about how you would expect hiring a hip hop star with no acting experience would do.
Are you telling me Ludacris isn't your favorite Fast and the Furious cast
Yeah.
member? Casting aside and how star powered it was White Men Can't Jump the remake doesn't just like totally tear down everything the first one built, kind of like the Thing remake does. It just repeatedly spits in its face over and over and over. The CGI is terrible when it should have been practical effects. The characters, like I said, are just so paper thin and so there for like just to die, whereas the original had such a strong cast that you loved seeing. Like the ending sequence as well, just kind of gave up on any of the antiquity and the is it or isn't it moments that we got from the first one. And the story of White Man Can't Jump is so simple that it can really be told again, even at like a weaker value, and kind of get its point across.
Yeah, it's kind of my point of how do you mess it up so bad? Like, they took a story that should be relatively easy to remake and maybe retell with a bit different styles, and they just went in there and just absolutely blew it. I mean, they took it, some of the jokes they put in there just did not hit as well. The movie is honestly one of those, the first time I tried to watch it, I was in a room full of people and we voted to turn it off 20 minutes in. That's how, like, bad it is. And then I had to go back and watch it myself because I wanted to be able to watch the whole thing. So it seems like one of those movies that, Hulu wanted to make. They thought it was an easy remake softball pitch. And then it doesn't relate to any audiences. It doesn't give them what they want to watch. And after that 20 minutes, they turned on the original. So you end up just making people want to go hunt down the original again and watch it all back because it's just so much better.
I mean, the same can kind of be said for the thing. Like, every time I've tried to watch the remake, I just find myself watching the original because the remake isn't even scary. Because it's not really a one for one, but you know what's gonna happen. And that's why horror remakes are just so much worse than any other kind of movie remake, because that takes all the thrill and the suspense out of everything. You know the thing is the thing. You know it's gonna take over the body of someone. You know it's gonna kill this way. And at least White Men Can't Jump, the remake, tried to innovate on that idea of making it less about like the city streets kind of beach bum boy and more of a not really inner city but like community rec center kind of guy. Whereas the Thing remake, again, you're out in the tundra, there's a shapeshifter, you're gonna die. Ooh.
I feel like too, if you took these movies, the remakes, and you put them both in somewhere, I feel like people might actually finish the Thing though, not knowing like the original one, and they would sit there and actually watch the whole movie and maybe say it was fine because they don't know what was the charm of the first. I think a lot of people would struggle to get through White Men Can't Jump, the new one. I don't know a lot of people who didn't know it that were willing to even watch it and finish the whole thing. And I knew a lot more people who were willing to finish the thing because when I watched that one in a group setting, we actually finished the movie versus White Men Can't Jump. That's why I just think it's so bad. Not many people were willing to sit there unless you knew the original. Then you felt forced because I know the original. There's got to be something about this that lives up to it, and it just never does.
Yeah, but at least in this remake, you don't have to stare at the worst CGI effects of all time for its entire runtime of like an hour and a half, and just
Yeah,
be like, "What? Why is Flubber in the thing?"
you have to watch famous actor Jack Harlow for a full
I like Jack
movie
Harlow.
runtime.
Well, I'm going to let you do a quick closing statement here, Healy, then I'll let Paul get his closing statement and we'll get a verdict read.
I mean, kind of the point I want to hammer in before is that horror movie remakes are just the worst kind of remakes because there's not even are you diluting the original material, they are so prevalently done within its own ecosystem of the horror genre that if you even hear of a horror remake, you're like, oh boy, here we go again. Another horror movie getting a remake, another series coming back to life for no reason.
Well, you get the final word here, Paul. You might have some work to do, so be strong.
Alrighty. I think with White Men Can't Jump, the remake, you can clearly tell that it doesn't capture the charm of the first. It's not there. In general, if you put these two movies side by side without the remake of the first in mind, I think you would watch The Thing before you'd watch White Men Can't Jump if you're being honest with yourself. And then when you add in the fact of what the first one did so well and what the new one did so bad, I think it just doubles down with the idea that White Men Can't Jump misses the funniness, misses the jokes, misses the social commentary of the time, and just completely whiffs on trying to be what the first one was for society as a whole.
All right. Time is up. I definitely think this was an interesting point. I think Healy made some extremely strong points when talking about the horror remakes in general kind of always feeling bad. That with The Thing, it's especially with horrors in general, like a movie like The Thing, you know what's going to happen, so remaking it's bad on its own to begin with because you're not getting all the same points. But then it's even worse done there. He did really really strong. I was very worried for you, Paul, because you agreed with Healy's point that you can remake White Men Can't Jump. It's just that they didn't do this one well, and you were kind of like, yeah, I agree with you. They just kind of blew it, and I was like, did he just blow it with saying that? Uh, well, I think you did make some, but so in the middle of the,
think you can remake both movies. Like,
I
guess
know,
I
but
see
in the
what you're
topic
saying.
of a debate, you didn't bring that up in the debate there too much until you talked about that if you were to watch one of these remakes and be deciding which one would you get through and which one would an average person go see without knowing the first one and bringing up quality, I think you did a really good job bringing yourself back with White Man Can't Jump and explaining that an average person will watch even a remake of The Thing over the Hulu version of White Man Can't Jump. With that said, I think Healy takes this argument home. Again, when he got you kind of to agree that it wasn't the fault that this should be a movie you can remake. You can remake this. It was just you blew it. And without further ado, the winner by a round score of 3-1, the official first victor of MDC, Healy.
No
Go ahead
silver
and
scrapes here, baby.
give us a little gloat time for yourself right now.
It should have been a 3-0. That was, you want to talk about make a wish calls. The most make a wish call ever, because I didn't talk about how Luke Skywalker wasn't a hero in the movie that he's not the hero of. What? That's a really good argument
made
there.
hero.
Not of the sequels. That's Ray. That's not his movie.
Hey, that would be great points to talk about when
the originals.
Yeah,
That's
and I talked about the originals.
And he trains the hero in the sequels.
like you can complain all you want about that, Healy, but like when the question is who is the most heroic character in Star Wars and you don't mention the parts where he's not a hero, and your biggest opposite
R2-D2 is not a hero, because there are none. R2-D2 stays a hero, lives a hero, and he probably rusts the hero.
Well, the comments can talk about that in there. That was Healy's glow time. Do you have anything you want to add on here, Paul? Anything you want people to check out potentially?
I mean, dude, there's no winning. If you literally your alcohol comment after I mentioned alcohol, like literally tilted me. Not mine.
I can't believe I got that one.
I literally just sat here and you could see Healy smile and you could see me smile, and I'm like, what? And Healy's going, yeah, okay. Like I literally say he's probably gonna get pissed drunk and do pills, and you go, you never mentioned him drinking once as a billionaire.
That's game 5 LeBron against the Warriors, dog.
Like,
you know what? I might have missed that, but like just like Healy, you got to bring those points down more and more. And he really brought up with that round with the Joker of like, you're really not at risk if you're in the car with him that much, per se. And you made the off line thing of like he might, that like it wasn't noticeable.
He's a getaway driver.
You should have been like, dude, Tony Stark is gonna make it a party there, and that should have been your whole argument the whole entire time. Is like,
no, I should not make the argument Tony Stark's gonna make the drive a good time. Isn't it worst character to be with?
Well, yeah, but you would.
That's my point. You didn't attack my point.
Yeah, but you.
Yes, he makes it the best to be in with. Doesn't make it the worst. Saying he made it a party doesn't mean people are gonna have a bad.
But Tony
time.
Stark's not the person you're supporting. You're supporting the Joker. You want me to think that Tony Stark would be a great time.
Yeah, I'm saying he's annoying because he's a narcissist and he's a hammered mule that you're driving around while the other guy is trying to kill you, bro. Those were the points I made, and what'd you do? You said you never once brought up alcohol. You never really made me feel like the Joker would hurt me. Like, how can I win that? I stand no chance of winning that.
Yep.
I mean, it's a debate. You're literally gonna yap. I listen to you yap.
Well, thank you guys for coming on. Maybe we'll do this again in the future at some point.
Yeah,
But that would be our
yeah,
first
really.
episode of MDC. And as much as Paul doesn't like it, your point of a question is making the other person's answer look the worst. So yes, if you want to make Tony Stark look like he would be the best time, that's a great way to attack that question. But that's just for future people to reference. But until then, I'll see you guys all later.